All right, I think we're live. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Today, we're going to be doing more SCCM application deployments. This time, we're going to be getting to executable deployments. So in the last live training we did, we went through deploying MSI files with SCCM. So now we're going to get on to some more cool and more advanced stuff with executables. And Instructor Robert's going to be taking this one. Now, we do have an IT lab. I'm going to go ahead and paste the link in there. You guys should be able to click that link, and you guys should be able to open the IT lab that we'll be using in this course. So you should be able to see the screen. Let me know in the chat if you guys can see that or if you can't. But you should be able to see the lab up right now. This is on Instructor Robert's screen, and he's going to be walking us through the steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to hang out for another couple of minutes and give people time to join because there's still people hopping on. We're going to give you time to join and give you time to open the lab so you guys can follow along if you'd like. So we're just going to hold out for just a couple more minutes.
All right, let's go ahead and look at our source files. Go ahead and click File Explorer and go down to your C drive and click Application Management. That's our folder we're going to be working with. Okay, so click Application Management and Software. I'll wait a second so everyone can catch up. And we're going to be installing Chrome EXE x64, 64-bit. All right, so here's our Chrome metadata commands, and we can go ahead and click that file. All right, and do me a favor and slide it over a little bit because it's going to be in the way. Okay, and as you can see, it's just like last week. This is just the metadata, or what is installed within the application that will be installed in the database, that will be saved in the database. And here's our command lines. Okay, our install command. And here's our switches. Now I want to show you a little bit how to find those switches out on the internet, because like I said, it's a little bit more of a challenge to find these switches, because without these switches, the install won't go properly. Okay, as you can see, we have the Chrome setup.exe and /silent / install. That's our install command. Now our uninstall command, we have to go out to the registries to find that. And there is the registry keys and so forth for Chrome 64-bit. And I'm showing you this right here. Everybody needs to find this file and open it just like I have it right here. And this is our complete uninstall command line. So when we go to the registries, I'm going to show you exactly where in the registries to find your uninstall command line. This is it right here. Okay, and as we pull it across, and I want to show you a little bit about version numbers. Okay, we're going to look at that too. But here's what we get off the internet: this uninstall system level force uninstall. So what we want to do now is, let's see. Okay, I want to also show you, you know what? There's Google Chrome. Let's go ahead and open up. Let me pull this over. You can minimize this. And here's Google Chrome. So go ahead and click, bring up your browser. Yeah, there we go. And kind of minimize that. Now what I want to show you here is how to find these uninstall, install, and uninstall switches. Okay, so you can do a search and just say Google Chrome. One way to do it is Google Chrome install and uninstall switches. Okay, but what I'm going to make it easier for everybody. I happen to find these switches at this website. So if you see the install command, Chrome setup.exe silent install, I just want to give you an example of what it looks like to go out and find these different switches. You can go to blogs, you can go to the vendor website, however you can find them, but go ahead and highlight that, the URL, and copy and paste that into your browser. And let's take a look. And then hit return. And we can go ahead and maximize that if you'd like. Okay, I'll wait a minute, make sure everybody's here. So like I said, you could Google, this is all I did. I just said Google silent install. for Google Chrome.exe. So scroll down, and you can see right there. There's you can even get the software here, but I was interested in the switches. So you have to have the correct switches, or it won't install. And we need the silent switches and the install. So it's simply /silent and /install. But if you didn't know that, it wouldn't install properly. Okay, so now this is a different exe than we'll be using, but the main takeaway here is the /silent and the /install. Okay, so you can minimize that. Let's go ahead and minimize that one. And now we want to scroll over, and let's take a look at the uninstall command lines. All right, and if you look right here, this is a little crowded. All right, so I already showed you that system level force uninstall. Okay, I gotta go ahead and give myself a little bit more time on the lab. All right, I got 25 minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy that into the browser again. Okay, everybody catch up with me. All right, Control C, and then open the browser again and open another window. We're going to be using these, and go ahead and paste that in there and hit return. Okay, so it's just a blog, you know, but you're going to be doing this on every exe. I just want to let you know on that. So let's go ahead and scroll down and see what we can find. All right, so it says detecting Chrome, uninstalling Chrome. Keep on going down. Let's see if I find that. Whoops, I went too far. Okay, it's in here somewhere. All right. Am I missing it? Okay, there we go, right there. The correct switches to use are uninstall system level force uninstall. Okay, so that's what we need, and I'm going to show you where these command line switches go during the installation. But I just want to give you a heads up when you're trying to push out an exe, you got to find the install switches and the uninstall switches. Okay. If any questions on that, go ahead and you can put them in the chat or whatever. But I think we got that covered. So go ahead and minimize that, and I think we're ready. So let's go ahead and open the console. I think we've done everything. I think we're as far as we need to go. So go ahead and click on your Configuration Manager console, and you can minimize this until we need it. Whoops, that's all right. Won't hurt anything. All right, so first thing we need to do is click the software library, and then click Application Management. You can click that little arrow right there, and what we want to do is we want to right click on Applications. I'll just give everybody a second to do that. Right click and create application, and the Create Application wizard pops up. Okay, so notice last week this said Windows installer was an MSI. Well, we're not going to be using an MSI, so what we have to do is we have to manually specify the application information. Okay, so you want to click that. All right, then everybody click next. And here's where our metadata goes. So if you would, take this window and slide it to the left. Okay, now bring up our text box, our metadata in Notepad. All right, and scroll up. And very simply, all we're doing is we're going to input this metadata. All right, so cut and paste with me. Google Chrome. And right there, very simple. I'll try to do this quick for some folks who have already done this. So let's go. Google Chrome is a great browsing tool. Whoop, I keep this mouse. I keep hitting the wrong button. Okay, come on. All right, and cut and paste. Okay, now publisher Google. We'll just try to move through this as fast as we can. Hope everybody can follow along. Okay, this version number. You know what? I need to show you something about version numbers. Let's go ahead and bring Chrome back up. Most of you may already know this, but I just want to show this for some that may not know it. Okay, you see the 3 little dots over here? This is how you tell, you want to check and see what version number you're going to be installing or that is already running on this machine. So go ahead and click the 3 dots and click Help, or just go down and highlight Help and About Google Chrome. And as you can see, it's 84.0.4147.135, and it is 64-bit software. Okay, great. So now we know what version we have, and I'll show you why we would care about that. All right, so minimize this. Right here, the software version number should be 135. So let's go ahead and type that in there. All right. And it looks like this screen is good to go. Everything else is done. Now, if you would click Next. All right. Okay. Now, Application Catalog. This is how it's going to appear in the Software Center. Okay, there's our name. Now, categories. If you had is everybody familiar, hopefully, with the Software Center on the client? This is where all your applications are going to appear. And the client can either install or uninstall that application depending on how you have set up. So let's go ahead. What we're going to do is we're going to give this application, Google Chrome, a descriptive name and an icon. That's the whole idea behind this application catalog box right here. So we want to go to user catalogs, and basically you can set anything up here you want. We're going to create a new user category and just hit create with me and type in browser, BROWSER. Okay. And then click OK. All right. Now click OK. Wonderful. All right. And you can add user documentation if you wanted to. You can link some text to that. But what we're going to do is we're going to drop down and we're going to put an icon there. So in the Software Center, it'll have a nice icon that looks like Google Chrome. So let's go ahead and browse. Now what we're going to do is we're going to browse out to our folder, our application management folder. And let's see, scroll the whole way up. There's our application management folder, and click software. And you want to click icons. Now, you might ask, where did I get the icons from? Well, there's lots of freeware out there, and the freeware, if you just do a Google search and look for something called an icon grabber, or you can pull the icon from the exe. But that I used an icon grabber to get these. So just double click on Chrome standalone, which it's not really a Chrome standalone. That's a different version, but it'll still work. So now we have the icon. Everything looks good here. That's all we need to do. All right. So click next. And let's go to deployment type. All right. So you might say, what is a deployment type? All right. So I'll do my best to try to explain that. It's actually relatively simple, but let me give you an example. Let's say we have 100 computers in our office and we want to deploy the Chrome application to all 100 computers. Let's say 50 of those computers run Windows 10 64-bit operating system and the other 50 run Windows 10 32-bit operating system. What we would do is we would create one deployment type for the 64-bit operating system. Then you would go back and create another deployment type for the other 50 computers running the Windows 10 32-bit operating system, excuse me. So in this case, the deployment type is based upon the version of Windows 10. So you have two deployment types and you just deploy one application. So you can see how much time that would save an administrator. And there's a lot more, let's say in that example, the deployment type was based on the operating system, but there's so many more things you can base your deployment type on. And you can take a look at that, and you know, there's a lot to learn. But let's go ahead and click add. All right, now you can see type, but we're not doing an MSI, so go ahead and click the down arrow, and you'll notice as you look here, there is nothing here that says EXE. All right, so what do we have to pick? Let me get back open. We have to pick script installer, okay? All right, so we want script installer, and we're going to manually specify the deployment type. All right, so go ahead and click next. All right, so here's the general information. And now we're going to type Chrome, CHROME, and EXE space dash X64. Okay, great. All right, and click next. Hopefully everybody's caught up with me. All right, so now we're going to point to our source files, content location. So let's go and click browse. And right here for network, I'm just going to go, in case you don't see this little icon, I'm going to go ahead and click backslash and type backslash SCCM 01. Maybe not everybody is seeing what I'm seeing. So then click return. All right, great. Now scroll down and you see the software share. By the way, I neglected to say the software folder is shared. Okay, so that's one thing you're going to definitely want to know, that you need to share that folder. And if you have any questions on how to share a folder, you may or may not, I'll be glad to answer that. All right, so select the folder and click. Okay, so there we go. Actually, let's go back there. That's not quite right. We have to add Chrome EXE onto the end of that. So that should be what it should look like. So I'll give you a minute if you need to fix that, those that are on the lab. Okay. All right, now what we need to do is we need to move this over because we're going to be using our text file here. And slide that up so where it's comfortable. All right, specify the command used to install this content. Okay, so what we want to do is we already know that our executable name is chrome setup.exe, and we went out on the internet and we found our switches /silent space / install. So simply just copy and paste that right into that installation program line. All right, great. Okay, now we got to get our uninstall. So this is what we need to do. Remember I said we need to go out to the registry and find this. So everybody follow with me, follow along, and click your search, little search thing there, and type regedit, R-E-G, regedit, okay, regedit, and click return. All right, now we got to go down through this. Okay, the first key we need to click is high key local machine. All right, then software. Okay, you can move this down here if you need to. Go ahead and scroll down. And one thing I want to point out here is Chrome 64-bit software. Chrome, the version of Chrome that we are installing is a 64-bit software. Normally, an application that is a 32-bit application will install in the WoW 64 32-bit node. But for some reason, and no one really understands this out there, I've looked, but Google Chrome installs their registry keys in this WoW 64-32-bit node that's normally used for 32-bit application. Nobody knows why, but they just do it that way. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Okay, so go ahead and click that WoW 64-32-bit node. All right, and click Microsoft. And you can move this over a little bit if you'd like. And you want to go the whole way down. Here we are, Microsoft. You want to go the whole way down to where it says Windows. Okay, right there, Windows. All right. All right, then click Current Version. Now we're going to get right to where we need to be. Now go the whole way, scroll the whole way down until you see Uninstall. There it is right there. Okay, now look at all that. All right, click, move it over a little bit. Now you're going to see Google Chrome. Yay, finally. All right, so see what I mean? It's a little bit more challenging to get your uninstall string, but there it is right there. So just I don't want to go too fast. Make sure everyone's caught up with us. What we want to do, okay, I got to click our server again. Everybody double click the uninstall string. Okay, there it is right there. Notice the version 135. Okay, everything's great. Okay, now Control C. Now we're going to copy that into Configuration Manager. So we want to go back to that Create Application. Everybody with me now? Okay, and you can leave this up. It won't hurt a thing, the registry keys. Okay, there you go. Now go ahead and click in that box and Control V. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at our uninstall program. Go the whole way over and check it out. There's the actual path of where the Google Chrome is installed. And I'm going to explain why you have to do this the way you do this here in a minute. As soon as we get to detection method should be, yeah, coming up. Okay, so go ahead and scroll over to the right. And okay, so now, and I usually just get rid of verbose logging. I don't find it necessary. Okay, so right there, we're going to add those two switches, at least one switch. Now go back over to your text file. All right, and scroll down. And look at what we got to add, okay? Additional switches. There's the uninstall command. Here's where we went into regedit. There was the actual location. Okay, there's WoW 6432. I'm just reviewing this for you. Current version uninstall. That's where we went. So this is a good, this file is good. It'll remind you where to go. All right, so what we want to do is we want to add, that already has system level in there, so we don't need that. What we need to add is this force uninstall. So everybody highlight that and Control C. All right, and go ahead and click right at the end of system level and Control V. So now let's take a look. Oh, wait a minute, make sure everybody catches up with me. All right, looks good. Now, scroll the whole way over because there's something that I think we need to change. Scroll down on our text file. Aha, look at this version number. The reason why we care about this right now is because we're going to test these install and uninstall. Before you deploy an application, especially in EXE, you always want to test your install and uninstall command lines. So let's get this thing correct now instead of later, because this will fail if we don't put the right version number in there. So the only thing we have to change is that 0. We have to change that and put a 3 in there. Okay, so it's 84.0.4147.135, and that is the correct uninstall program, because I'll tell you the reason why. The same version we're going to push out to the client is the same version of Chrome I have installed on the SCCM server. And that is the same version that you have installed on your SCCM server as well. That's why we opened up Chrome and I showed you the version number in the beginning. Okay, so we're all good. Okay, I believe that we can minimize that. And let's go ahead and let's see what we got. Okay, we can click next now. All right, let's see. Okay, detection method. What do you mean by detection method? What is a detection method? A detection method is how Configuration Manager determines whether the application is already installed on the machine. Okay, if you recall, with the MSI application detected by, it would take a look at the product code. But the EXE is a little bit different. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a clause. Okay, so that's what a detection method is. It determines whether the app is already on the machine. Okay, and this is how it does it. Okay, so you add clause. All right, so what we're going to do, and this is a little bit different than the lecture on EXEs. This is another way to do it, so to speak. There's several different ways, but I like this method. It's really easy. And that's what we want to do. We want to make it easy. All right. So the first setting type, this is a detection rule. In other words, we have a detection method. Now we're going to make a rule. So Configuration Manager is going to go out to that client and see if that application is already installed. And where it's going to look in the file system. And I'm going to show you how we're going to set this. So the setting type is file system. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to browse out to the location, and I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, everybody, let me start over. Make sure everybody's with me. Click path and then browse. Okay. I'll go over to my computer and click the plus and the C drive. Okay, we can slide this over a little bit. All right, so we want to go to Program Files x86. It's where Chrome 64-bit puts their application. Don't know why, but that's where they do it. All right, so then we want, you can see it right there, Google, Chrome, don't want to go too fast, application, come on. All right, so now click on application. All right, you see chrome.exe, just highlight that. Everybody with me, highlight it. Now click OK. All right, so now look what we have here. We're going to specify the file or folder to detect this application. So what's going to happen is Configuration Manager is going to go out to that client and it's going to see and use this path to see if Google Chrome application is already installed on that computer. Okay, so there's the executable. So everything looks good so far. Okay, we don't want to miss anything. So what we want to do here is we want to click that file system setting must satisfy the following rule to indicate the presence of this application. So we're going to change this property. Instead of date modified, we're going to change that to version. Now watch what happens here. This is cool. Look at that. Popped it right in there and gave us the correct version. Okay, but there's one more thing. We want an operator. Now think with me. Configuration Manager is going to go out to that client. What are we going to look for? We're going to look for a version that is greater or equal to this version. Okay, so that's how it's going to detect what version. It's going to say, okay, we got a version that's 136 or whatever, or equal to that, you know. Okay, so it's going to look for these. All right, it's going to look for this value. So now what we want to do is we want to click OK. And I think that looks good. All right, so there we are. There we are. Okay, looks great. All right, so now we want to click next. All right, installation behavior. Let's see, where am I at here? All right, now we want to change this to install for system. Now, why would we need that? In other words, this installation will run for all the users, even if that user that initiates the installation is not an administrator. Now, obviously, some user that you push Chrome out to isn't going to be administrator, so that will give him the permissions to go ahead and install that application. All right, and let's see whether or not, okay, there's whether or not a user is logged on. We want to change that. So it doesn't matter if he's logged in or not, it's still going to basically end up in the software center. Okay, so we want to change this maximum allowed runtime, all right, to 15 minutes. And it's not going to take very long. So the installation time, we'll go ahead and put in 2 minutes. Okay, so that all looks good. All right. Now, let me get to where I need to be. Okay, for requirements, you could set up a requirement if you needed it. And what I mean by that, if you wanted to install this application on a 32 or 64-bit operating system, you could do that right here. There's different things that you can change, but for this demonstration, we're not gonna be doing that, so we're not gonna need to specify a requirement. So you want to go ahead and click next. All right, and there is no dependencies. Now, what do you mean by dependency? Well, when you install Windows Server, you may have noticed you need .NET needs to be installed before the Windows operating system can be installed. So it's just another piece of software that is dependent upon, maybe if you were installing Windows Server, it would be .NET. But we don't need, in this situation, we don't need any dependencies. There's no software that has to be installed prior to Google Chrome. So let's go ahead and click next. And we're getting there. We're almost done. Yay. Okay, click next. And okay, now we should be able to click close. And that's great. Okay, now click next one more time. All right, click next again. All right, it's doing it. All right, it takes a minute. And we can go out here and we can minimize this. Actually, we can cancel. Cancel, you don't need to be in regedit anymore. We'll just close that out. All right, the created application wizard completed successfully. Great. Now go ahead and close that. All right, so now we want to click, excuse me, software library and applications. All right, there's our application. So now what we want to do is we want to right click on Google Chrome and click properties. All right, now I always do this as a habit. I always want to allow this application to be installed from the install application task sequence action without being deployed. Okay, we want to allow this application to be installed from a task sequence. That's all that means. So what we want to do is we want to take a look at these different this information, make sure your metadata is all correct, everything looks good. Okay, and go to your application catalog, and that looks good. And just kind of click through this and take a look. There's nothing we needed to do anything there at all. So go ahead and click OK. And that takes a minute. All right, so everything looks good. And we now, okay, there we go. Great. All right, so now normally, let me get a drink. Normally we would go ahead and deploy our application, but we don't want to do that yet because we got to test. Remember I told you before, on any EXE you're about to deploy, you want to make sure those switches, those installation install commands and the switches are really going to work. So what we want to do is we want to go out. Let me see. Let me make sure. All right. We want to go out to the a test computer. In our case, it's going to be SAW-S01. So go ahead and click that. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to test our install and uninstall commands. Okay. Go ahead and log in. Control-Alt-Delete. Actually, we don't need to do that. Just click the password. Okay. All right, we're doing fine on time. So what we're going to do right here is, and as you can see, let's take a look at some of these icons down here. There's your software icon, okay? And to the right of that, let's see, there is our, come on. That's where we're going to look at our logs. All right, so what we want to do is we want to go ahead and click Windows Explorer. That's our log file viewer. All right, and click C drive. And click the Chrome folder. All right, so what we're going to have now, what I have is your command lines right in this file. So I made it easier for you. And as you can see, it's C Chrome. So we're going to be using this directory, this folder. I have to keep clicking for the server. Okay, so let's go ahead and click our meta commands and drag them over a little bit. And bring it over here. All right, so like I said, what we're going to do, we're going to test our install, whoops, let me start over, install and uninstall commands. So go ahead and click your little command prompt icon at the bottom, and notice it's opening up as an administrator, which you need to be. And there it is, administrator control prompt. So you can bring that over some. All right. Now, what we want to do is I showed you that we want to go to the Chrome folder. So let's back up. Okay. So you want to change directory to the Chrome folder. I'll wait for everybody. Okay. This is the folder that has the Chrome setup.exe. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take this install, and we're going to want to cut and paste that, or just copy, I should say, right into your command prompt, and go ahead and Control V, and there we go. Now we're going to test this and make sure they work. Make sure the switches work. So go ahead and hit return, and let's see what happens. Now, just for fun, we can go over here to Control-Alt-Delete, clear over to the right. And I didn't want, okay, you want Task Manager. Okay, everybody with me on that one. And let's check it out and see what's going on. I thought I saw Chrome. Okay, Chrome installer. There it is right there. So it's doing it. 36%. It's getting there. All right. Okay, we'll just wait till it gets done, then this will all go away. You get a drink while that's happening. Okay, I see a change, so we can minimize that. And there it is, wonderful. Okay, so it actually worked. Our install command line worked. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and copy and paste. Let's make sure we have, oh, look at that, wrong version number. So you want to make sure your version number is correct. So what do we want to put in there? We want to put in there 135. Otherwise, your command line will not work. Okay, just a heads up on that. So go ahead and copy. Okay, and there's our switches, force uninstall. All right, Control C, and go back over here and Control V. And hit return. All right, let's see what happens. Oh boy, that was quick. Bam, gone. Okay, so now we know that our uninstall command lines work with the switches, and our uninstall command lines work. So there won't be any failure whenever we push this out to the client. Okay, wonderful. So go ahead and close these. Won't need these anymore. X out. Sure, we can save it. Why not? All right, so now we want to go back over to Configuration Manager and go up here and click SAS SCCM 01. We'll go back over there. All right, now it is deploy time. All right, so let me get back over here to my correct slide. So you want to right click on Google Chrome and click deploy. This is the fun part. Hopefully, right? We got our fingers crossed. We got software, Google Chrome. All right, now we're going to browse out to our device collection. All right, so go ahead and click browse. All right, and we want to change this from user collection to device collection. Okay, and we're going to choose Windows 10 laptops. Now I'm going to wait a minute just to make sure everybody's caught up with me. All right, after you choose Windows 10 laptops, just click OK. All right, and then next, click next. And let's go to content. Now, what we want to do here, very simple. We want to push this, we're deploying this application, but we want to deploy it to our distribution point. The distribution point is the, let's call it the grocery store for everything we want to get. Everything we want to pull down to the client is going to reside in the distribution point. Okay, so you want to click add and distribution point. Okay, and go ahead and click our distribution point and click OK. All right, there we go. Everything looks good there. So now we can click next. All right, let's look at deployment settings. All right, so we are installing, we are not uninstalling, so that there's no choice there. And purpose available, well, let's take a look at the, or required. What does that mean? Available means that it's going to show up, that Google Chrome is going to show up in the software center. Or if you choose required, it's going to automatically, it may show up in the software center for a minute or two, but then it's going to automatically install. But we don't want that. We want to click available so you can see it in the software center. All right, so that all looks good. Let's see. So you want to click next. All right, okay, let's try it again. Click next. And we're on scheduling now. There's no need for any kind of scheduling. Let's go ahead and click next again. All right, and user experience. Basically, this is all going to be the default. Let's see, display software center and only show notifications for computer restarts. And that means exactly what it says. You'll get a notification if the computer needs to restart. Some software needs to restart the computer, right? So that's what we're going to get in the software center. All right, so we'll take the default there and click next. Now we'll not need any alerts. Everything looks good there. You could if you wanted, but in this case we won't need it. So click next. All right, and we are almost home. So go ahead and click next again. And let's check our progress there. Okay, great. All right, now click close. Okay, so now let's go back out to SAW-S01, our client out there, and we're going to check it out. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open the software center. And I don't think there's going to be anything there yet, but let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, come on. All right, as you can see, there is nothing. So we don't want to wait around. You know, we're a little bit, we're a little bit impatient. So what trick can we play here? What can we do to make this application just shoot right out there and be done? So what we want to do is actually go ahead and close the software center first. Close the software center. Now type CON for console, and you can type, control panel, and click return. Now, click configuration manager. I should say double click it and bring it up there. Now, all right, so click actions, and I'm going to explain what we're going to do. We did this last week and it worked great. Machine policy, what you want to highlight, machine policy retrieval and evaluation cycle. So what this does is we're going to force this application to be pushed to this client. And normally it works on a schedule. It's the client downloads its policy, and a policy being an application coming from the distribution point on a schedule by default every 60 minutes. We don't want to wait 60 minutes. So there's an agent on this client that's part of this these components. One of these components, there's a client agent that goes out to the distribution point, and it's always asking. It will actually, once every 60 minutes, it's asking, hey, do you got anything new for me? Do you got any applications? Do you got any software updates? But in this case, we're gonna force this. So what you want to do is you want to highlight machine policy and retrieval and evaluation cycle and click Run Now. Okay, the cycle will finish, will run. It might take several minutes to finish. That's fine. Click OK, and then click OK here. All right. All right. So what we want to do is close. Let's go ahead and minimize that. All right. Now, go ahead and click your Configuration Manager Trace Log tool right there at the bottom. And you want to make that the default viewer. That's fine. All right. So we might have to go where the logs are and click this little folder right there. And we got to go to the C drive. I'll slow down a little bit. C drive. And you want to go to Windows. Everybody get with me. And SCCM. And we need to go to logs. Okay. There they are right there. There's the logs. Double click that. This is all our logs. Now, the first one we want to look at is, did we get anything from the distribution point? So go ahead and click App Discovery. All right, let's see. Performing detection of app. What's going on is okay, that agent is checking out our client to see if this Chrome has already been installed. Okay, so it's detecting that, and that's what's going on with this log file. You can go and check it out. Okay, now let's go to, okay, we just want to click the small X there, not the big one, because we want to open up another log file, and it's called App Intent Eval. Let's see if there's anything going on there. Okay, it's evaluating application policies for machine. Like I said, a policy can be anything. It could be an application being pushed from the distribution point or a software update or whatever. Okay, but doesn't look like there's anything going on here. Okay, that's fine. Now, what we want to do is we can minimize that. Yes, let's go ahead and minimize that. Now, let's go back to the Software Center and see if anything happened after we forced that machine policy. So let's go ahead and open. And let's see. Hey, how about that? Okay, everybody should have Google Chrome as a new application. Awesome. So go ahead and click that and click Install. Okay. So now that we're installing, let's check it out. Okay, it's installing. Now there's another log we're going to look at, and it's called appenforce.log. And what's interesting about that particular log file, it only shows up after the installation is over. So, like I said, we looked at appdiscovery.log, and it did say something about Google Chrome. There was a reference, but there's going to be much more information as soon as this installation is done. We're going to take a look at that. So as soon as it's done. And if you want to, we could even up. It looks like it's about done. And I see the icon. Okay, great. Google Chrome is installed. Wonderful. All right, so let's go ahead and open our trace log tool again. And click the little folder. And this time we're going to look for appenforce.log. And as you notice, that wasn't there before. Okay, there was App Discovery and App Intent Eval, but that popped right in there, didn't it? So double click that. All right, now look at all the information. Starting install enforcement for Chrome exe64. Okay, that's our file name. Okay, look at this. There, you wonder how how does the distribution point, how does it know where it copies those executables and those files into this CCM cache folder? Let's go take a look at that. So you want to open up your File Explorer again. And let's move this over a little bit. Okay, let's go to C and Windows. Right there it tells you Windows, CCM cache. Okay, you need permission. That's fine. Just say continue. Okay, and there is the one folder. Double click that, and there is our files. Pretty cool. Okay, so go ahead and close that out. All right, now what we're looking for is an exit code of 0. All right, go ahead and scroll down, and it should say exit code of 0. That's success. So everything, it looks good. All right, so that is, we are done with the log files. All right, so that is the whole process of installing an executable. All right, so you can go ahead and close that, and we could uninstall it if we want to, but we don't want to. We'll go ahead and X out. Okay. All right, Paul, I think we are done. I know it took a while.
No, that was fine. That was cool.
Okay.
So I was actually following along, and I did the required installation so that it wouldn't pop up in the software center, and it installed for me, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it did automatically. So Corey had a question that he wanted to ask about endpoint protection. Do you have time to answer that question?
Got it.
Okay, cool. So let me pop open and just show you guys. I showed this last week, but I just want to show it again. So the webinar replays are going to be under the, once you're logged in, they're going to be under the live room and recordings. And I'm going to include, right now it just kind of shows you the actual live stream, and it gives you like related downloadable files. And if there's code, it'll have like source code at the bottom below the video. I'm going to include a link to open the lab as well, so that you guys can come back to the replay room and have as much, you know, usability out of the webinar instead of just having to watch the video. So we provided the lab here in live on this live stream, and we're going to provide it also in the replays. But yeah, you can check any of these out. We'll be posting them every week. Every other week rather. So we have a live stream one week. The next week is going to be the replay. All right. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.